project. So in this video, I will finally be doing my review of Kuki Shinobu, who is the new 4-star character who made her debut on this patch version 2.7. So if you're interested for more, make sure that you guys are subscribed, hit the notification bell, and feel free to leave me comments and questions. Did you guys get Kuki Shinobu? Did you guys go for her? Are you skipping her? Or did you get her constellations, etc.? Let's get to it. So for my character, as you may know, if you've been following me, I only got one copy of her. I was lucky already because some people I saw, they actually spent real money in this game and they didn't even get a copy of her, or they had to spend more just to get her. Thank God I got her without spending any money in this game, and I would just say she's not that great. And I'm sure that that's already out there in the, the wide, well-known streamer world already, that many people already did the reviews. I took my time with her to just build her up. Obviously, I didn't have everything for her when I first got her, so that's why it took me a few days. Also, in between, I wasn't really playing the game, but regardless, here we are. All right, so let's get to it. So she's an amazing personality, and obviously her voiceover and all that, that's always a given in this game. The quality is always there. So that's the thing that we need to touch on. Let's just focus on her as a character for battle purposes and for the game. All right, so as you can see, I did not focus on leveling her up all the way. Just like any of my other support characters, the way that I do it is I only bring them up to 5 stars out of 6 ascension level. Well, I'll give you an example. I'm going to go to the back here. So recently I rebuilt Barbara, etc. See, as you can see, the characters that I don't really plan to use much, I leave them at 5 out of 6 stars. And also the characters that I feel are mostly support, like these ones, right? Then they can be 5 out of 6 stars. They don't need to be fully maxed because you don't, resources are scarce in this game. You have to actually farm for them and spend the time, and I don't really like doing that. So I didn't spend too much, but on my resources, but I did at least level up to 79 out of 80 because actually she needs it. She's not that good, just so we're clear. She needs extra stats and she needs extra boosts. Otherwise, she's just not going to be able to deliver. I'll be honest, even though I built her up a little bit, so to speak, she's still not that great. But anyway, let's just go through the stats here. I'm just going to quickly show it on screen. Okay, so then weapon-wise, I went back and forth. I actually tested out a variety of weapons. I didn't stream it, but I tested out a variety of weapons for her. So just so we're clear, we're going to go through this quickly, though. I would not recommend giving her any of the 5-star weapons, because it would just be wasted on this girl. She is a jack of all trades. That's her little title, her subtitle, in the promo demo trailer for her. But she is not a master of any of them. She's a master of none. She is meant to be kind of like a healer and a support and also create reactions, but really the damage from all of that or the healing even isn't even that good, to be very, very honest. I'm not trashing her, but that's just the honest opinion here, okay? So unfortunately, there's no point in giving her any of these 5-star weapons, so I won't even go over them because those are for attack focus, like they're crit focus, like those ones, right? Or like these physical damage ones, like I don't think she needs it. You could give her the Skyward Blade if no one else is using it, sure. You could give her the Primordial Jade Cutter if no one else is using it, sure, but this is a really good weapon to give to an actual character that can use it. I mean, yeah, she benefits from the HP increase, but why give it to her? She could do well with the Freedom Swarm, but that's a very expensive, 5-star weapon to give to her, alright? I mean, if you're going for Cosmo or you have Cosmo, give this to him for now, obviously, it's his best, right? So we're just going to skip the 5-star weapons right now. Alright, so let's just go through these quickly. Cinnabar Spindle is not for her, obviously, it's Albedo's weapon, defense. I also contemplated giving her the Aminoma, but I realized that mine actually needs energy, and she has low energy cost already, but then I feel like having more energy just allows her to do more of her skills and her bursts and all that more frequently. Therefore, I just feel like it's better to have more energy, because you're not going to want to keep her on the field just to, for very long, if ever. So so the Aminoma is not a bad weapon, because it's a good weapon for most characters, so this is a good weapon. It also looks good on her. I contemplated giving her the Festering Desire, and I actually gave her a Festering Desire. Now, not many newer players will have this, because this is from 1.2, so one of the very first event weapons that we got, if not the first, and it looks crazy cool on her. As you can see in the passive, it's for the Elemental skill, and although her Elemental skill is part of her kit, but her Elemental skill is for healing, it's not really for damage, right? So then it's kind of wasted on her, so I didn't give it to her in the end, but it looks cool though, and I was going to give this to her. It also has the energy recharge aspect to it too. Okay, the Black Sword, you don't bother giving her this because it's a crit rate focused weapon. She could do well with this, but you're not going to use her for her normal and charge attacks. Blackcliff Longsword, similar story. It's a crit damage weapon. You're going to need to kill enemies to get the stacks up. She's not going to utilize it. Prototype Rancor, similarly, it's an attack focused weapon. It even scales a little bit on increasing defense a little bit. It's not for her. It's a physical damage weapon. It's not really for her. I wouldn't bother. Sacrificial sword. This one I contemplated, but I don't really need her skill to proc twice because once should be enough. Yeah, because it it takes like I think 10 times or something, 8 to 10 or 8 to 12 times. So it's plenty enough. You don't need to proc it twice because the benefit of the passive here is that it allows you to proc the elemental skill twice, and it's perfect for Xing Chu because he can do his skill really quickly. The flute is a kind of a placeholder weapon. It's again for normal and charge attacks. It's not really for her. Again, we settled on the Favonius. I mean, you can never go wrong with Favonius. It's a universal weapon. It just does well for everybody. And as long as you give her enough crit rate, so at least 50% and above, preferably 60 or 70%, then she can at least get you extra energy for your team. So that's why I gave this to her. Also, the energy recharge is higher for this one. The base attack is lower. That's okay. She doesn't really need the attack. And then the Iron Sting, I'm trying to build it. This could do well on her, and I've seen other streamers do use this on her to increase her damage output and her reactionary damage. However, I wouldn't waste this on her, to be very honest. I'd probably wait for like a future animal character that needs a sword to give this to them instead, right? So, I mean, it could be okay, but I'd rather just use that for her. I originally thought in my way back, in my early release video where I discussed where possible options for her could be the Lion's Roar. This is still a possible option for her, keeping in mind, because, if you want to give her some damage output because of the passive, she could still get some extra from that, but I'm not going to use her that way, so that's why this is a skip too. And that's pretty much it for the weapon. So I feel like Favonius is good. In summary, Iron Sting is fine. Like the low spend and easy to achieve weapons are fine. Maybe if you wanted to, you can give her the Sacrificial if you have no other character to give it to, or the Amenoma. And then all other weapons, you can just skip it for her. If you have Festering Desire, you can try it on her, but again, her skill doesn't really do much damage because it's meant to heal. Alright, artifacts. So there's many ways to build her. Many people I saw, they use the Tenacity of the Millilith because that would give her the increased HP 20%. Luckily for me, though, I did have that on her at one point, but I swapped it out because the two-piece set, because I ended up giving her these other artifacts instead because it makes up for it because the substats were enough to give her the HP bump. As you can see, her HP is pretty okay. It's like 29,000. It's pretty okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't level up to level 90 out of 90. She'd be over 30k already, right? But I didn't bother. So I played around with different artifacts. I didn't give her the best of the best. So I just gave her what other characters were not using and that were close to being maxed out at 20 out of 20. Again, I normally, for support characters, I normally just keep them at 16 out of 20 or around there. But because she needs the extra little bit of stat boost here and there, that's pretty bad, right? But that's what she needs. So that's why I went to the 20 out of 20. I gave her HP here, I gave her HP here. I gave her crit damage here, but that's because this weapon, I already had it at 20, this artifact I already had 20 out of 20. It has HP on it, it has crit rate on it, so I gave it to her. That's why. It's not because I want to boost her crit damage, just so we're clear. I gave her, as you can see, a mixed set with Wanderer's Troop, so then she has the Elemental Mastery there. She's kind of like a mixed build, right? And I gave her some attack here, even though, yeah, I didn't bother giving her the Clam set or the Maiden set for healing, because I don't think that's her real full purpose. And I didn't bother doing focus on any other elemental mastery or like burst build. I didn't bother with that. And then although the tenacity would have been a really good 4-piece set to give her, I don't have 4 pieces that are good, I'll be honest. The 4-piece passive I'm just putting on the screen here, when her skill hits an enemy or an opponent, yeah, the attack of all nearby party members is increased, and then the shield strength is increased, etc., etc. It's pretty long. So, like, tenacity 4-piece is actually her best, and it's what they use in the trial dungeon. But I'm not going to farm specifically for a support character that we're not going to use much of. Okay, just so we're clear. So that's why I'm not going to go for it. And I didn't even farm that heavy in that dungeon. I think I did for Zhongli when I was rebuilding him way back when. But then after, and also trying to get that Pale Flame set for rebuilding Eula. And then after I achieved that, I didn't bother going there ever again. So whatever tenacity set pieces that I had left over were just what left over I had. And I only had like 2 or 3 pieces. So I didn't have enough for 4 anyway. So that's my story. All right. Constellations, I have her at 0, and I don't think that she needs any, but let's just go through them. So C1 will allow her AoE to increase, which is kind of eh. C2, it allows her duration of her skill to increase by 3 seconds. C3 will increase her skill, her healing ring by level 3, by 3 levels. C4 will, again, when the normal charge or plunging attacks of the character is affected by her ring, then she will have an extra AoE attack with that electro. It's only 9.7% of her HP. It's not much. Okay. C5 is plus 3 levels to her burst, and C6, when she takes lethal damage, okay, it will not take her down. Basically, it won't let her die, okay? So this effect will automatically trigger when her HP reaches 1 and will trigger once every 60 seconds. So when she drops below 25%, she will gain 150 elemental mastery. This is not bad, but I'll be honest, none of her constellations are like must-have, and I wouldn't bother trying to get her up if you can. Like, don't waste your wishes on her. Let's be real. I think most people, and I said this before, most people are saving for 2.8. For Klee, Yoimiya, or Kazuha, none of them are confirmed, but that is the expectation. Or 3.0 and beyond for Sumeru characters, because they're all going to be new, everyone. So save your wishes. That's what I'm doing. So I'm spending the lowest amount of wishes on these banners to collect the characters. So it's similarly for 2.8, I'm going to go for 1 copy of Shikano and Heizo and stop right there. Okay, talents. So because she's a supporting character, I do this for all of them. I just leave their normal attack at 6, but this could have been left at 1 because you're not going to use her normal attack. I just did 6. And I went and gave her 8 here because that way at least it brings her up to a more decent level. At 6, it was still pretty low for her multipliers, but this is her healing, right? And it gives some damage, and then this is her burst, and it gives some reactions, okay? They're not really that strong, okay? She can't take down a boss on her own, I'm sorry. She can't. You're going to need her to support other characters to do that, and we're going to do that right after this. This one is a passive talent that will allow her, her healing bonus to increase if her HP is below 50%. This one will boost her healing amount based on her elemental mastery and or her damage dealt. But this is a flat bonus, so out of 100 points, 75% of it will go for elemental mastery, and 25% of it would go. 75% of it will go for healing, and 25% of it will go for elemental mastery. It's not that big of a difference. Yeah. It's based off of her elemental mastery, but that extra tick goes towards healing, as you can see. It splits it. It's a flat split. It's not really that worth it to build her up for like her elemental mastery, to be very honest. Because I've seen other streamers, they built her up to like 800 elemental mastery, and she still wasn't doing much damage. So I know not to bother. I've been using this though for the expeditions. I've been using the 20 hours because I haven't been playing as often. So 20 hours is great. Because this is actually equivalent to the discounted 20 hours, where it becomes 15 hours, and you get 25% like less time. Is the same thing. So, but this just extends it so you don't have to like come back to check her that often. Alrighty, in terms of team composition, she'll do well with Taser. She'll do well with basically any other element except for Geo that can give her reaction. So let's just get to it. Okay, I'm gonna bring Mona in just so that I can break the shield and then maybe generate some like simple reactions for her. Just gonna quickly break the shield. Okay. Alright. So and then after and anything under lower than 20%, she won't be able to like lose any more extra. So I'm just gonna do that just to generate the extra elemental mastery, just so you can see the ticks on there. It's not high. It's the water that's really doing the damage. Her healing is also really low, as you can see. She'll stay alive, but she won't be able to like do much. See, look, her attacks are really low. I'm not trashing her specifically, but it's not going to be any better. Let's just be honest. She's not going to get any better, if that makes sense. Okay, let's just try to finish this off. See, it's not going to be much. So I'm specifically using her just for this purpose, but you wouldn't do this normally. See, look, it's not really much. And I'm not saying that I heavily invested in her and I optimized her, I for sure know. But she is a 4-star character, she's a support character, she's very niche. She has kind of a split build situation going on, and it's a very confusing way that they set her up. However, I want to leave it on a positive note. Maybe they set her up this way for the future potential of reactions with Dendro in Sumeru. And maybe she'll become super like OP when we get there. So there's that potential. So that's why I didn't mind getting 1 character copy of her to see how it goes. Plus, I expect her to be rerun in future banners anyway. And obviously, she's going to be available on standard banners after this patch. And she will be available off banner, like not rate up on any banner as well. So even in the weapon banner, so you never know. Alright, so those are my review. That was my review of Kuki Shinobu. What do you think of her? Did you guys go for her? Did you skip her? Did you build her? Did you like her? Did you hate her? Let me know, because I know that many people actually don't really like her. Not as a character and not her personality, but as a gameplay character because I don't really see a use for her, to be very honest. If we're talking healing, there are better healers in the game. If we're talking damage, there are better damage dealers, and if we're talking reactions, there are better reaction, enablers basically. So anyway, that's my review of Kuki Shinobu. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you there.